got to pound on that thing one more time. We welcome you here today for our Board of Water Resources Board meeting. Hope everything goes well. As I drove in, I emailed my kids back and told them that I'd made it, not emailed, texted, and told them that I could see the air and I could smell it, so I must have made it in Salt Lake. So.
Did you taste it?
Yeah, I could taste it too. Still can. But we will proceed down with our agenda today, and first thing on the agenda, of course, is calling to order, and then we'll move approval of the minutes. Any question on the minutes? We reviewed them this morning, and changes, I believe, were made and given to Lindsay, so we have a motion on the minutes.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Randy.
I'll second those.
Kyle seconded. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes as corrected, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes will be approved then, as corrected, Lindsay. The next item on the agenda is the 2020 board dates. Do we have any comment or changes to those?
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes,
will
Charlie.
make a motion to approve the minutes as published and reviewed in last month's board meeting, or in our packet today.
Okay, thank you.
Didn't we just do that?
Yeah. We're on to the 2020 board meeting dates. Are there any changes to those? Do we have a motion on the board dates?
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Motion's been made to approve the dates of the board meetings for next year.
Second.
Been seconded by Randy. Are there any comments to that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I should make mention too that Juliet needs to be excused this morning. She's got another commitment for this board meeting. She was here to our earlier meeting, so she'll be with us this afternoon. So, let's move on then to the projects, the applicants. We have the Millville City project. It's up in Cache County. Jacqueline, I believe you're going to present that. We also have David Hare, the mayor. Chad Kendrick, Public Works Director. And Corey Tweed, City Recorder. And Mike Wilson, Project Manager. Mike, kind of hiding back there, huh? Let these other guys take the heat? Okay. We'll move on. Jacqueline, go ahead.
Okay. Millville City in Cache County supplies culinary water to 630 residential connections and 9 commercial connections, and approximately 37% of the residents receive secondary water from 3 local irrigation companies. The city's water comes from Gar Springs and the Glen Ridge and Park Wells, which are depicted by the light blue dot on the map, and then the wells are the dark blue triangles. Their storage consists of 2 1 million gallon tanks and 1 300,000 gallon tank, and there are approximately 16 miles of distribution pipeline that range from 4 to 10 inches in diameter. The Department of Environmental Quality has determined that there are elevated nitrate levels in the Glen Ridge well associated with the high-density septic tanks in the area. There is currently a moratorium on septic tanks, and new construction is not allowed until that issue is resolved. The city plans on installing a sewer system, but that won't be for the next 2 to 5 years. Therefore, they would like to construct a new well that is higher in the system to get water while they implement the sewer system. The proposed project location is depicted by the red triangle on the map. As I mentioned, so the purpose of this project is to replace the existing contaminated well with a new well that is higher in the system. The applicant still needs to complete a test well, but they estimate that the proposed well will be between 300 to 400 feet in depth and have a capacity of 300 gallons per minute. These are a couple of pictures of the proposed project location. This is looking up towards the mountain, and then this is, you can look down towards the city. Benefits of this project include replacing the contaminated source with an alternate source of water and allowing the city to pursue new development. The estimated project cost is $1,880,000, and the cost share would be 15% for the board and 15% for the applicant. Staff recommends the board authorize 85% of the project cost up to $1,598,000, and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 2.36% interest over 22 years with annual payments of approximately $99,000, including reserves. That is staff's report.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Do you folks have any comment about the project?
Do you have any questions in regards to the
Well,
project?
that's a good place to start, whatever. Board, do we have any questions on this project?
Mr. Chairman, I joined with Jacqueline and Marisa and Carl Egge and toured the site, and it looks like a really good project site, as well as there's a really an immediate need to help Millville City and the folks living there to get some better quality water for their residents.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board?
Okay.
We're not getting very many questions for you here. Seat
too
isn't,
bad.
they're warm enough, I guess.
Yeah, the other thing, this is the smaller project of the two. We've been forced to put in a sewer system. And unfortunately, we do not have much of a tax base. We've got a lot of retired people, a lot of veterans there. And so very much concerned about these two big projects and how it's going to affect the pocketbook of our citizens. And so we're looking at as many possibilities funding-wise as we can right now, and recognize that and appreciate the fact that you're willing to take a look at this.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Charles?
Yeah, just a question, Mayor and Corey. If the well is successful, does that indicate that the moratorium will be dropped? You don't have to wait for the sewer to be developed to have the moratorium removed, do you?
I can answer a portion of that. We met back with the Bear River Health Department this last month, and they allowed us to build, or to let those people that have minor subdivisions, which is any division of property. Of course, we have kids, young people that have purchased property to build on it, $99,000 or $100,000, and if they can't build on that in the next couple of years, more than likely they would lose it. And so they have allowed us to do smaller, minor subdivisions and go forward with that as long as we continue doing what we're doing towards sewer and water. And so that has given us a little bit of relief, which we appreciate, but still, this has to happen.
Okay, just a follow-up question. Between now and possible construction time, are you able to isolate the well that is more contaminated and you're not pumping that, or how's that working out?
Yeah, we don't use that. We'll use that well probably 3 2 to 3 months out of the summer is all that we use that. Of course, with the growth that we've had, it needs to be put on more, and we're not using that well at present. The nitrate level on it is, I think, tested at 7.8, is that? And at 9, they start testing it quite often, and it has been slowly, consistently going up though, and so we're just planning on abandoning that once the new well's online.
Okay, and then you'll transfer your water right from that well to the new well, or do you have
Yes.
additional water rights?
And we're gonna transfer
Okay,
those
thank you.
rights.
Okay. And the old well will be abandoned, I assume, obviously, then.
Yes, it'll be abandoned. The only time that we may use it is possibly a secondary system if we are to put in a secondary system, but no longer would it be used as drinking water.
Yeah.
I had a question, if you could bring the map back up. It looks like, and based on the one that I'm looking at here, the black dotted line in the top right-hand corner of the map, it shows that part of that housing developments there are outside of the municipality. Is that a,
Yes, that is true. Part of the development on that east end is above Millville, and it was annexed into Providence City.
okay?
And they have that property up there.
And likewise, it shows that Skinner Springs would be outside of the municipality boundary, or am I not looking at that right?
Yes, but that Skinner Springs produces very little, and a lot of times it dries up. So
Okay.
it's not something the city really has used. It's more for the cemetery district, tries to use that water.
So if you could negotiate with Providence City to let you have some of those back, you'd have a bigger tax base.
Well, yeah.
That's
we
true.
Need more water, and once we get, part of the reason that development ended up there was because they had sewer and we didn't. And they can put bigger developments in and
There's no shortage of people that want to develop in Millville right now with the open land that we have. We just need to resolve some of our utility issues before we can allow them.
Are there any other questions? Charles? Guess we're ready for a motion.
Mr. Chairman and Board, I will make a motion that the Board authorize 85% of the project cost up to $1,598,000, and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 2.36% interest over a period of 22 years, with annual payments of approximately $99,000, including reserves.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Randy. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? That motion will carry then.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline. We'll move on now to Huntsville Irrigation Company. We have Rex Mumford, the president. David Harvison, attorney. Always need an attorney at the table.
He's a friend of our company as well.
All right. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is for the Huntsville Irrigation Company for committal of funds. As you may recall, this project, there's already an existing pressurized system that Huntsville Irrigation put in several years ago, with funding, partnering with the Board of Water Resources for funding in that. And there are two neighboring, one company and then some shareholders, is that correct, Rex, of another company?
Correct.
That have asked to be part of that pressurized system already. If you build it, they will come. And so they actually have opened bids, and they look like they're in good shape. So They're doing some final finishing touches, and all the pressure's on this attorney up here at the table to get all of that finished up. But they've had quite a few things they've had to do with water rights and conveyance and names, changing the name and everything because they're bringing that water into the company. So staff recommends the board commit 85% of this project cost up to $514,250, and the project be purchased at 0% interest over 25 years with annual payments of approximately $20,570. And the 0% interest is because this project's a smaller project coming out of the revolving construction fund. And that's staff's report.
Thank you, Marissa. Gentlemen, do you have any comments?
She's done a good job of presenting it. So, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you have anything.
The attorney's happy to work through things too, huh? Clock's running.
Well, and in his defense, part of that is just, it's taken us so much time to get things to him that I think we'll have everything in order shortly, though.
Thank you. Kyle, do you have any comments on this project?
Would just comment that I've had the opportunity to visit with Marissa and the others and accompany them on the site visit. I think we talked about that in the authorization meeting, and I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay. Any questions from any of the board members? If not, Kyle, we'll go ahead and turn the floor to you to make a
Okay, I
motion.
would motion that the board commit 85% of the project cost up to $514,250, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 25 years with annual payments of approximately $20,570.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor? Charles seconded. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? That motion will carry then. Thank you. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on now to the Mountain Green Secondary Water Company. I believe, Kyle, this is another one of your projects. Russell, I believe, is going to present on this from staff.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the proposed project is located in Mountain Green up Weber Canyon in Morgan County. In its August 2019 board meeting, the board authorized a project for the Mountain Green Secondary Water Company to install water meters and appurtenances on all 625 existing secondary irrigation system connections within their service area. It's estimated about 60 acre-feet could be saved by metering the secondary water. The cost estimate and sharing remain as authorized. With the project still at $950,000 and the board authorizing 85% of that project cost. Staff recommends the board commit 85% of the project cost up to $807,500, and that the project be purchased at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $58,200.
Okay. Thank you,
That's
Russell.
staff's report.
Are there any comments? You're there alone, so.
Yeah.
Kyle, do you have any comments on this? This is your project.
Well, again, up in the Morgan County area, I think when we had this discussion back in August, they came out all the way to Vernal where we had the meeting, for their feasibility report. And, I applaud them for taking an aggressive approach with implementing, the metering system on all of their secondary system. And, it's estimated that about 60 acre-feet, hopefully, that can be realized in addition to just the change in habits and so forth that come about as a result of some of our metering efforts that have been shown by other entities that have implemented those. So with that, I'm prepared to, make a motion.
Yes, I think Kyle, we're ready for that.
Okay, would motion then that the board commit 85% of the project cost up to $807,500, and that the project be purchased at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $58,200.
Thank you, Kyle. There's a motion on the floor, and do we have a second? Second. Been seconded. All those, there's motion and second on the, there's been a motion and a second on the project to approve it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? If not, that project will move forward then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Russell. I believe Benson Irrigation Company, looking for additional funds. Mr. Rick Reese. Paul Johnson. You're gonna sit in the back too, huh? I am. Eric Franson. You've been here before, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, you can just hang on. Oh, yeah, you can slide up if you want to, Paul. If you're fine back there, whatever. This, project, I believe, is Charles, and Russell, you're gonna make the presentation, so we'll turn the time to you, Russell.
Sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the proposed project is located about 4 miles northwest of Logan in Cache County. The project replaced about 9 miles of open canal with 11.4 miles of 6-inch through 27-inch plastic irrigation pipe, and constructed a pumping station and small regulating pond. Here's a little review of what the project was. First of all, we have Board Member Charles Holmgren looking very sad here because the dilapidated system he's looking at. Okay. Here's the old concrete sections that were falling apart, very dilapidated, being pulled out of the old canal. Some of it was concrete lined and some of it was earthen. And just huge piles of concrete pulled out all over the place. And here is one of the pipelines installed in the old canals, and it's been just about finished up there. Here's some sticks of pipe ready to go in, waiting for their trench. This would be a new alignment for where water's going to be running. Here is a section of old canal that's just still needs to be cleaned up. You can see one of the turnouts on the right, and there's a new section that goes all the way out to those out to the barn. Here's the new pump station and filters and the head pond, screens and the head pond. Okay, the new system was only partially functional for most of the 2019 irrigation season. The applicant reports they're very impressed with the efficiency of the new system and had increased tonnage in crops this year due to the new system. Since construction began, various cost overruns have been encountered, such as higher costs getting the power supply, an additional stormwater culvert was needed for Logan City, unexpected attorney's fees related to easements, and related engineering costs. Altogether, costs increased by $224,000. Also, easement issues delayed construction of the project by almost a full irrigation season. The applicant is requesting additional funding and a delay in their payments by 1 year. The project cost estimate has increased by $224,000 from $3,170,000 to $3,394,000. The committed and proposed cost sharing are as shown. New cost being $3,394,000. The board share at 60%, being $2,035,500. Funds were originally committed to the project under the following terms. The board committed 58.2% of the project cost up to $1,845,000, with the project to be purchased at 1% interest over approximately 30 years with annual payments of $72,000. Okay, if the board approves the request, staff recommends the board commit an additional $190,500 and amend the purchase agreement to state the board will provide 60% of the project cost, up to $2,035,500, and the project be purchased at 1% interest over approximately 30 years with annual payments of $79,200. Additionally, the funding agreement will be amended to state the principal payment be delayed 1 year. Regular payments of $79,200 will resume December 1st, 2020. An interest-only payment will be due in 2019. And that is staff's report.
Thank you. You gentlemen have any comments or on this project?
Appreciate you guys being able to come again and to work with you. We have a very top-notch system and very efficient, and it's been a good thing, and we appreciate your support.
Appreciate it, thank you. I have to make a comment, just because it was interesting that you needed to delay the payment, and yet you had increased your tonnage during the short year you had.
Well, you know what? Come out and try being a farmer. Nothing ever works the way it's supposed
No,
to.
I'm sure. Charles, do you have any comment?
No, a couple of comments. I watched last winter and spring while they were working on the project, and if you all remember what last winter and spring was like, I'm amazed that they got anything done with all the moisture that we received from above. The other thing is I've heard comment from one or two of their shareholders that they actually indicate that irrigating is fun now, and I'm extremely jealous of anybody that's having fun irrigating.
Yeah. Any questions from the board? Any other comments? If not, I believe, Charles, we're ready for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that the board commit an additional $190,500 and to amend the purchase agreement to state the board will provide 60% of the project cost up to $2,035,500, and that the project be purchased at 1% interest over approximately 30 years with annual payments of $79,200. Additionally, the funding agreement will be amended to state that the principal payments be delayed 1 year. The regular payments of $79,200 will resume on December 1st, 2020, and an interest-only payment will be due in 2019, and my understanding from Russell is that that has been paid.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, that motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Good luck with your project, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
May it keep storming on you up there. You're ready for it to dry out a little? A week, yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to the Little Cottonwood Brown Ditch Company amendment. We have Carl Moody, the president, and Keith Shelley, of the board of directors. And you're just staying put. Welcome again. Welcome, gentlemen. Jacqueline, I believe you have a staff presentation.
Yeah. This project is located in Murray City in Salt Lake County. The board authorized and committed funds to the Little Cottonwood Brown Ditch Company's project in the October 2018 meeting. The purpose of that project was to replace the existing diversion dam and install a new metering device. The applicant submitted, they submitted an application for financial assistance to fund the diversion dam as it was a priority. During that time, they were pursuing a Water Smart grant from the Bureau of Reclamation to pressurize their system of about approximately 4.1 miles. And they were going to submit a second application to the board to fund that portion of the project. They were awarded a $1 million Water Smart grant. However, they chose to pursue a smaller scale project of piping 550 feet. The Bureau of Reclamation approved their modification, and the grant was reduced to $333,200. The purpose, this new project consists of replacing the existing diversion structure with a new concrete structure and installing two 2 by 13-foot overshot gates. The inlet to Brown Ditch will also be reconstructed to better measure the diverted flow, and it will have a compatibility for a SCADA system if they decide to pursue that in the future. And there will also be a walkway constructed to more easily access both sides of the creek. And the 550 feet of open ditch that will be replaced are depicted by the red lines here on the map. So although there is an increase in scope, the board's cost share amount will not increase and the repayment terms will not change. What was committed, the project that was committed was estimated to be about $440,000, and it was a cost share of 50%. This proposed project, the estimated project cost is $773,200, and the amount for the board will remain the same. The percent of the total will decrease. Staff recommends the board amend the purchase agreement to provide 48.4% of the project cost up to $374,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 20 years with annual payments of approximately $18,700. That is staff's report.
Thank you, Jacqueline. You gentlemen have any comments about the project you'd like to make?
We are in agreement with the change, although it doesn't change anything substantially in the end as far as the total amount of money that goes to, is allocated to the loan versus the grant. It makes it possible for the bookkeeping to be easier to take care of and not try to keep dividing up the costs so that one goes to the state and one goes to the federal.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the board? Any questions? Juliet's not here, so Blaine, I'm going to turn the time to you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the board amend the purchase agreement to provide 48.4% of the project cost up to $374,000.
There's a typo, sorry.
Yeah, there's a typo. It should be $374,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 20 years with annual payments of approximately $18,700.
Been moved and seconded that this project be moved forward as staff's recommendation. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you. That project can move forward, gentlemen. Thank you. We'll move on now to Payson City. This is under special items reports. This would be under Wayne Anderson and Russell. I believe you're going to make a presentation. Bill Wright's the mayor. Cameron Phillips, the water superintendent. Travis Jocksman, you're the Public Works Director. David Tuckett, City Manager. City Manager's always hiding the back. Been there, done that. Thank you. Russell, I believe you're going to make a staff presentation on this project.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the proposed project is located in Payson City. The purpose of the project is to upgrade and expand the existing secondary irrigation system by redeveloping an existing well, upgrading its pump motor and controls on the well, installing a secondary transmission pipe for new development, installing a secondary pipe to isolate the outdoor recreation complex, and installing secondary water meters throughout the city. These new facilities will provide secondary water to existing city recreational properties, new development, and future growth. The first phase of the pipelines and well rehabilitation have nearly been completed and will be under budget. The second phase of the secondary meters have been bid and will be almost $700,000 under budget. It was originally estimated to be $6 million, and it's bidding about $5.3 million. And again, the project is to redevelop an existing well and upgrade the motor and secondary pipes for new development and the outdoor recreation area, and secondary meters throughout the city. Additional project elements are to rebuild a Spring Lake pump station and to add more filters to the system, large-scale amnion filters. They have 3 filter stations, and they would like to add more filters to the Petite Neat Creek and Strawberry Highline facilities to clean up that water a little better. Excuse me if I'm getting a little out of line here with my presentation. Here's some of the existing facilities that have been put in, the pipeline. This is the pipeline going in, going up to the recreation complex. Here's a staging area for a lot of their existing 16-inch pipe. Most of the pipe that went in was 16-inch purple pipe. And here's the pipeline that was finished up, going out to the new subdivision. As you can see, most of that land out there is right now farmland, and they're planning on a pretty big development out there. Here's the well truck, which pulled out the existing casing on the existing well. And as I understand it, is that well completed at this point?
They're about a month away from finishing the electrical.
Okay. We're still a little ways out to go. Okay, the applicant is requesting to repurpose some of that remaining money to rebuild the Spring Lake pumps and the pump station. These facilities are also part of the secondary system, and the pumps and intake system have failed. With the remaining funds above this cost, the applicant would like to add more large-scale amnion filters to their system. They're confident they can build both these projects within the $700,000 remaining. Staff recommends the board allow the remaining $700,000 of the existing bond to be used to rehabilitate the Spring Lake facilities and add additional large-scale filtration. That is staff's report.
Thank you, Russell. Any comments from any of you gentlemen?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and the board, we appreciate the opportunity to come back and address, you guys with this request. And just like Russell said, we've got all the pipe in, which was over 7,000 feet of 16-inch pipe. The well that will supply one of those zones is almost completed, and we actually will start having our contractor install the PI meter starting this coming Monday. So we've done a lot with that money, and we were good. The bids came in better than we thought on the meters, so we'll be around $1,100 a meter installed. So we've got some problems with the Spring Lake pump. When our original PI system was installed, we were a city of about 9,000 people. in 91. Now we're over 20,000 and anticipated to be over 40,000 in 10 years. So these projects are just to try to, keep up with the growth and supply the water that we do have rights to, like the Spring Lake pumps, we're gonna remove the entire inlet structure and do wet wells and a better grate system, upgrade the pump so we can deliver more of that water into the upper zone and help supplement that, especially when when we don't get a good water year, the canyon flows are down to almost zero. So that it's just, and then obviously filter it with the fires that we had last year. The water was extremely dirty this year, and we've got to clean out our ponds. We had a lot of problems with pressure and dirty water this year, so that we're trying to clean all that up so that we don't have those constant complaints. So that's kind of where we're at, so.
City managers can fix all of that.
Yeah, with these
Right.
people in front.
It's going to make everybody happy, right? Okay. I believe probably any questions from the board on this project? We've discussed it pretty thoroughly this morning. Wayne, I believe this is your project.
I'd just like to mention that it's kind of refreshing to see a project that's actually come in under budget.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice to take that excess and put it to good use. So I commend all of you guys for a great project. I move that the board allow the remaining $700,000 of existing bond to rehabilitate the Spring Lake facilities and add additional large-scale filtration.
Been moved and seconded by Wayne. Seconded by Charles. Not seconded by the same person, huh? Any questions on that motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Good luck, gentlemen. Spend it wisely.
Thank you.
Make everybody happy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We do have one new application. It's from Hennifer Town. Kyle, this is up in your area, I believe. Any comment about this or anything?
Now am I on? As I indicated earlier, going with Russell Hadley and the Hennifer officials tomorrow to do a site visit and review their project, and look forward to it coming forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. We do have a couple of guests here with us today. We'd like to make sure we recognize Justin Atkinson, Project Manager from Sunrise Engineer. Thank you, Justin. And Stephen, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name, Ogilvy, Financial Manager of Blipco. You're just here observing? Well, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Used to work at DNR.
Oh, used to work at DNR. That's what Eric says. So, thank you for coming back, coming home.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on then to our regular board meeting agenda. Candace, I believe you have a planning report for us.
Good morning. It's snowy out. I'm loving it. Chairman of the board and board members, thank you for having me here today. I have some exciting news. I actually have two different items I'm going to report on. The first is the BOR Water Smart Grant Water Marketing Strategy. And just to give you a little bit of background on water banking in general, I know we've discussed it before. But this is an effort that's been ongoing for the last few years. And in this last year, Joint Resolution 1 was passed that pretty much said water banking is a good thing and we should study it. So that has been an ongoing effort as well. So today, we have received an appropriation this last legislative session of $400,000 of state funds. There has been continued work on draft legislation that was submitted to the Utah Water Task Force for review, and will likely go in front of the legislature this next year. As part of that draft legislation, it defines some objectives of water banking. It creates a process of water banks and annual reporting. And then there's water rights that it states it'll protect from forfeiture for any water rights put into water banks. And then there's also a sunset date. I have provided you all with copies of the draft legislation, a summary of it, as well as a one-pager. They're also up here if there's anyone in the audience who's interested in them. We've had an extensive effort in the last few months on this outreach roadshow. We've been to all over the state, different parts, and had a lot of really good discussions with people, got a lot of good feedback, and all the feedback was incorporated into the draft legislation. And then finally, the most exciting news is we were awarded the grant. Sorry, I gotta start this because, you know. So the application was submitted in July, and we were awarded the grant just this last month. Lots of work and effort went into this application, and I wanted to give a quick shout out to Lacey Moore for her work on this effort, Brett Bovey from Westwater, as well as all the folks who participated in the meetings and the calls and reviewing the application before it was submitted. So it was a great effort, and I'm glad it paid off. But now the real work begins, right? Oops, let me get to this one. There we go. So now the real work begins where we've actually have the funds, and this will be a comprehensive effort. It's a 3-year project to study how water-based market management may be developed in Utah. It includes a lot of different tasks, including kind of the project inception, which includes extensive stakeholder outreach and coordinating activities. We actually have, here it's called pilot projects. We're also trying to change it to be demonstration projects, but that's just another subject. Anyways, but we want to be able to actually run wet water, but that will be outside of the grant. So we'll be using the state funds to actually spin up 3 different pilot projects or demonstration projects. And then the grant funds will be used to develop the whole water marketing strategy for the state, as well as all of the analysis coming out of those demonstration projects. So in the grant application, we had included 3 project locations, and since then, we've had additional folks come to us and say they're interested in as well, so we'll have to work through how that works out. But currently in the application that was awarded, we have Cache Valley, Price River Basin, and East Canyon Creek, and really looking at areas that have some different issues and how water banking may help support those. And there's a number of different objectives that were associated, kind of categorized into 3 sections of agricultural, municipal, and environmental. So looking at those. So our next steps is finalizing the RFP and selection of a project manager. Then we have our final signing with the BOR for the grant. And we're going then to start right into meeting with stakeholders and scoping out the demonstration projects, coordinating some of the initial pilot activities, and then continuing broader stakeholder outreach as requested. For example, next month we have about 3 different presentations that we will be giving as well. So we have that to look forward to. So that is my report on the BOR grant application that was awarded. And then my second report is we were able to publish our regional water conservation goals, M&I water conservation goals. You have all been aware of this effort and it's ongoing, and this is mainly just to let you know that they have been published. Just a quick overview, the purpose of the project was to develop regional boundaries, set the goals, and then suggest practices for M&I water conservation. As part of it, we really focused on the 2030, setting the goal for 2030. The consultants as well developed projections for 2040 and 2065. Those will be reevaluated as we hit milestones. So once we hit 2030, we will reevaluate the 2040 and 2065 projections. And kind of just as background, why now? This helps us to comply with the 2015 Legislative Audit Report and their recommendations. This also came as a recommendation out of the 2017 Governor's Recommended Water Strategy, and then really to promote future conservation. Our last goal of meeting at least 25% by 2025, we'd almost achieved that, so really looking ahead as well as looking at regionally, because we all know how regionally different Utah is. There was a public comment on the draft. It was a 30-day comment period from August to September. We received 334 comments. The comments were incorporated in the text and helped make the document better and clarifying things, although none of the comments changed the actual goals. Here's just the goals for 2030 that were proposed in the document. They range anywhere from 11% to a 20% decrease from the 2015 M&I gallons per capita per day in 2030. So it was a wide range. Here's a table, shows the exact same thing, but outlining the baseline, the 2030 goals, and then what the projections are for 2040 and 2065. I've also included a link on where you can find the whole report and details. Some of the practices that were recommended is, continuing our effort on water conservation education, as well as conservation pricing and how that impacts water use. In addition, fixing indoors, getting more efficient, fixing fixtures and improving them, as well as fixing leaks was a big one too. As far as outdoor, really improving outdoor irrigation efficiency through secondary metering, smart irrigation controllers, drip irrigation systems, as well as converting landscape to water-wise landscaping, especially in new construction. The more that we can do now to set policies, and not that that we're going to set the policies, but encourage our policy leaders to set policies that encourage water-wise practices, benefits us in the long run as far as the cost of that conversion. And really, we're seeing additional trends in lots and decreasing lot size and densities. More multifamily housings are going in. It's probably something I would imagine you guys have seen as well. So really getting to 2030 and beyond, this is really a team effort. This is not the Division of Water Resources, the Board of Water Resources. This is not just water conservancy districts. It's all of us, state and local policy leaders, state agencies, water suppliers and conservancy districts, and water users all have a role to play to get to these conservation goals. So that is the end of my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Candace. Appreciate it. Any questions from board? Comments? I guess there are none. You must have covered it all.
Okay, sounds
Just
good.
keep the water coming.
That's great.
Joel, you're happy to talk about Lake Powell Pipeline, I'm sure.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy to give an update. I've got Marty Bushman with me from the Attorney General's office. Wanted to just let you know how things have gone since the board made the decision to withdraw the FERC application back at the end of September. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission let us know that they were good with that decision and withdrew that application. We received a notification from Department of Interior that they had appointed the Bureau of Reclamation as the lead federal agency that we would be working with to continue this environmental process. The Bureau of Reclamation, Provo Area Office has jumped right on this. They had previously been involved, but not as the lead agency. So now as the lead, they've jumped right in, organizing meetings, coordinating with the other involved cooperating agencies. They have prepared a notice of intent that will be published tomorrow in the Federal Register about a public comment period for this project. They felt that with having them be appointed as a new lead agency, that it would make sense to hold somewhat of a scoping period, even though scoping was held previously for this project under the FERC leadership. They felt that it would be good to hold this again. And the open houses will be held January 7th from 7 to 8 p.m. in Kanab, January 8th, if I said 7 to 8, I meant 6 to 8, January 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. in St. George, and January 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. in South Jordan, trying to cover the areas of project interest. And then comments can be submitted online through the Bureau of Reclamation website through January 10th. They soliciting comments about any concerns people might have. Their notice of intent that will be published tomorrow will outline the proposed alternatives that they're looking at and areas that they would encourage the public to comment on. And we would encourage anyone interested to attend these scoping meetings and/or make comments online. We will be continuing to work with the Bureau of Reclamation to provide them resources, getting project information to help get them up to speed as they begin continue their work on the environmental impact statement. We've had a couple of challenges in that everybody's retiring. We've had our national project manager with BLM, Joe Incardini, retire, Larry Christ with Fish and Wildlife Service, Ed Robertson, the BLM state director, Ron Thompson, Washington County Conservancy District General Manager, retiring at the end of the year, and then our own director, Eric Millis, retiring. I don't know what we're going to do on this project. I guess it's just taking too long. We can't get it done. I guess I also didn't mention our state engineer, Kent Jones. We got a lot of retirements going on, but we do have additional people stepping up to help continue on the work, and we're looking forward to bringing these new folks together, keeping the work going forward. In doing so, we have decided it would be good to take care of a couple of legal issues, and one of them is we've had a confidentiality agreement in place for our meetings with the tribe, the Kaibab tribe of Paiute Indians, and they, as we've had this agreement over the years, the board has amended it once already, and now this would be an additional amendment. And part of that is to allow both us and the tribe to share some information with the federal agencies as we work with them on this environmental impact statement. We've realized that the previous agreement was very restrictive in not even really being able to acknowledge that there was an agreement or what was being talked about. And we need to at least give them some idea of what kinds of things we're talking about so that they know the work that is going on there. So that the amendment to this confidentiality agreement would do that, allow us to coordinate and the tribe to coordinate with federal agencies that are involved in the project on some of these issues. The second item would be a memorandum of understanding to outline roles and responsibilities as we work together with our project partners. In this case, the Washington County Water Conservancy District, who is putting quite a bit of personal or quite a bit of their own resources and time on the development of this project, helping us get through the environmental process, and wanted to outline roles and responsibilities and put that in writing. And so that is the memorandum of understanding that you have seen. There has been, based on a comment received from the board, a change that starts on the bottom of page 3 and finishes on the top of page 4 that you can see shown in red, that we would propose that change be made. But otherwise, staff would recommend that both the confidentiality agreement and the MOU, that the board make a motion to enter into those agreements. That is my report.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate your work. You can't retire.
Okay, I won't.
Jim, I believe you have a couple motions to make. Oh, I'm sorry. Kyle?
Before he makes that, I had a hard time following along with Randy's discussion in our briefing meeting relative to the use of the word construction. And again, and I don't know if this makes any difference or not, but if you look at line 3, it says, "and is granted authority to contract with qualified entities to assist it in the development and construction of the project." Does that create a problem, or?
No, I think because that was saying the board has the authority.
Okay. All right, thank
The other
you.
was passing that authority to the other.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. White. Okay, back to Jim. Are there any other comments? If not, Jim, go ahead.
Would you like these motions one at a time?
I think probably better off to have them one at a time. They're specific.
Okay. We'll do the confidentiality agreement first. We recommend that the board enters into an amended confidentiality agreement with the Kaibab Tribe of Paiute Indians to protect sensitive information discussed during meetings regarding the Lake Powell Pipeline project.
Okay, Jim.
So would your motion be that the board enter in, not recommend?
Yes. Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that motion will carry. And now we have a second motion on the memorandum of understanding. So,
All right. We'd recommend that the board enter into a memorandum of understanding as modified with the Division of Water Resources and the Washington County Water Conservancy District regarding the Lake Powell Pipeline project's initial permitting phase.
okay, been moved. Do we have a second?
Again, that's not a recommendation, that's a motion that we enter into it, right?
Yes, that's what I thought I'd read was
Okay,
that we enter into it.
okay. Been seconded by Wayne. Any questions on that motion? If not, that will, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? If not, that motion also will carry. And Joel, do you have anything else that you need to bring up, or we good? Marty, you have any comments?
Nothing on this.
Wow, that's the
I will
shortest
talk to you in a
comment
minute.
I've ever heard from an attorney. Very good. Well, appreciate it, Joel.
Thank you.
Marissa, do you want to talk to us about the Bear River development?
Right here.
Yeah, right down here. Yeah.
Computer went to sleep. We're not going to sleep. Computer is though. Should I pound on this to see if it's working? Is it on?
Should be.
Excellent. Problem is Carmen can hear me in stereo, so she's not gonna really know.
Move up to it.
Hi. I've already pounded on it for. So as we discussed in the briefing meeting, just wanted to talk about the release of the feasibility study for the Bear River development, and I wanted to do a little demonstration. If you go to our website, water.utah.gov, go under water projects, and then go to Bear River development. Maybe. That's where you would go when you have a good internet connection. And under that page, all the volumes of the report. Oh, it's a Mac thing, sorry. I'm not a Macer. You're being so helpful. Look at that. Okay. So on here, as you can see, it's got the different volumes of the Bear River Development Feasibility Study, the first one being the main report, the second volume being all the fun pictures and figures, and then the third volume is the real page turner with the appendices and all of the scientific fun stuff. We also have the executive summary. Each one of you have received that. That's a good overview for people to look at to get an idea of what's in there. And then we've got some other links on here. Two fingers. Oh, look at that. We've got some other links on here, some fact sheets, information about impacts to the Great Salt Lake, and down here, additional resources also that have the previous report done in 2014 that started with 46 potential sites narrowed down to the ones that we worked on in this feasibility study. And there's also that green button down there at the bottom where people can sign up for updates. And they can also request presentations or meetings with us. So even though there's not a formal public comment period, because it is just an engineering study, we are asking organizations to look it over and to contact us, and we'd like to sit down and be aware of things we should be aware of. My favorite line in the last 10 years is, how do I know what I don't know? So we're hoping to be able to sit down with groups and to have discussions. We've got some time on our hands to be able to look forward and do a lot of collaboration and working and being aware of what we need to know for this. So that's my report on it. That's the nitty-gritty.
Any comments, any questions for Marissa? Charles has always got a comment.
Yeah, well, again, I would just, hello,
Yeah, let's make sure we get this on the recording.
am I there? No? Shows green. We're good? Okay, I would just, again, like to compliment Marisa for a phenomenal job she's done in this past 10 years. Seems like it's longer than that, but anyway, she's been phenomenal to work with, and amazing how much she has accomplished along with staff support. So thanks, Marisa.
Thank you.
And you'll be here when the project finishes, right?
I hope not. My 13-year-old daughter asked me the other day, she goes, Mom, am I going to be around when this project actually? And I said, if we can find other ways, it'd be great. So,
Very good.
thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, we need to move on now. We're going to move to a Attorney General item. Turn the time to Marty to give us a lowdown.
All right, thank you, members of the board, and my name's Marty Bushman. I'm with the Utah Attorney General's office. I have a matter to bring to your attention we'd like you to consider and weigh in on, and that is a lawsuit that was recently filed by a number of environmental groups challenging the Glen Canyon Dam operational plan, and that plan is what sets forth the storage of water in Lake Powell, the release of water to the southern or the lower basin, and a fairly critical component in the operation of the Colorado River Compact and various other matters. Not to mention, Lake Powell's a huge source of recreation to the state of Utah. And it is also going to be the source by which water will be drawn to supply the Lake Powell pipeline. This lawsuit is challenging the environmental impact statement and the record of decision on a number of bases. The one most disturbing or concerning is one where they allege that the Bureau of Reclamation failed to adequately consider alternatives, that they just didn't look at them. Three of which they named, it all involve either partially draining Lake Powell or completely draining it and tearing out the dam. All of those would be obviously, I think, catastrophic to Utah interests. They would pretty much make the investment that has been made in the Lake Powell pipeline in its current alignment. It would pretty much destroy that and probably keep the Lake Powell pipeline from even going forward. And so for that reason, the state's looking at this very seriously, and I believe will intervene in this lawsuit to make sure the state of Utah's interests are protected. Right now, there's some question about whether the other 6 basin, Colorado River Basin states may join, whether we'll join together as a whole group, whether we join together partially, and whether it would be advantageous to have the board as an intervening party as well. And those things are still being worked out. But what I would ask today is if we could get a motion to approve for the Attorney General's office to go ahead and include the board as an intervening party should it be determined that it's advisable or necessary at the litigation. And so I think the motion we would ask you to look at is a motion, 1, to recommend that the state of Utah intervene in the lawsuit, and 2 is to authorize and recommend that the Attorney General's office intervene and to include the board as a party should it determine that it's feasible or necessary or advantageous. And that concludes the presentation. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to respond.
Thank you, Marty. Randy? Yeah, he's got the motion.
Appreciate what you're doing, Marty, and is there any other questions from the board?
We have any questions? Appreciate it. It's a critical issue, very critical.
If not, I move the board request the state of Utah to intervene in the Save This Colorado versus U.S. Department of Interior lawsuit, and 2, request and authorize the Utah Attorney General's office to intervene in the litigation in behalf of the board should it become legally advantageous or necessary to do so.
That motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? If not, you're authorized to move ahead.
Thank you very much, and we will
Protect
know,
us.
if we get to the point where the board's going to come in and intervene in that, we will let you know.
Thank you very much, Marty.
All right, thanks.
Next item on the agenda is one that, okay, I'm sorry.
Wayne, you pushed your button.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to make a comment or
Well,
waiting for this other item?
No, go ahead and introduce it.
Oh,
And then
yeah, I just going to introduce the next item on the agenda is the election of board organization. It is customary that the vice chair move into the chairman position for next year and that we select a new vice chairman. And we have done that in telephone and email conversations, one-on-one, for the most part. Everybody was contacted. And I believe that you have a motion, Wayne, that
Yes.
you'd like to make?
Before I make that motion, though, I think it'd be appropriate to recognize, a year ago, I was at home and received a phone call from a gentleman that I had never met before. His name is Eric Millis, asking if I would be willing to serve on this board if I was selected. A year ago in January, I was over at the Denver Stock Show, and I get another call from Mr. Millis indicating that I had been selected. And Eric, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. I was surprised when I heard that you were going to retire. But I think from all of us, we extend our gratitude and appreciation for your years of service to this department and to the state of Utah and the water resources of the state of Utah. Wish you all the success and happiness in your retirement, and come back and see us anytime. And anyway, I think we need to give him a round of appreciation. I also think we need to give a handout to Norm Johnson for taking control of this group, this unruly group, and keeping us in line and running these meetings in a very professional and organized way. Thank you, Norm, and we look forward to continuing serving with you on this board.
I'll be here for a while.
Okay. I'd like to nominate Blaine Ipson as chairman of the Board of Water Resources, and as vice chairman, Kyle Stevens.
It's been moved and seconded that Blaine move up as chairman of the board and that Kyle move in as vice chairman. I've talked with both of these gentlemen. They're willing to serve in these positions with everybody's blessing, and I look forward to it. Are there any questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? You, Kyle and Blaine, you can't vote on that. No. Anyway, yeah, can't vote no. That motion carries, and we'll look forward to these gentlemen taking over next year. So I don't think you need anything else for the minutes on that. And now it's both my pleasure and duty to turn the time over to our Executive Director, Eric Millis, for his last board report. Did you ever think that would come? No, neither did we, but it is time, and we'll turn the time to you, Eric.
It's come far faster than I thought. These last few weeks, few months, the clock just is spinning. It's going to take off from the wall, I think. Just a few items. Appreciate your accepting the idea of intervening in this Colorado River lawsuit. The things that are being asked for are things that would not be helpful at all to the state of Utah or to any of the other Colorado River Basin states. And so I think it's important that the state of Utah, as well as the other states, make their voice known and their thoughts known on those things as that lawsuit unfolds. On the Colorado River, Scott McGettigan and I and others, Marty and Norm and the other Norm Johnson, our attorney Norm Johnson, and people from the state engineer's office have been talking about demand management and how we might roll out a demand management program for the state of Utah. And so at this point, we are in the process of drafting something that we will get to the board, we'll get to the public, we'll get some public input on that, and also figure out how that's going to work with the upper Colorado River Basin states collectively. The Upper Colorado River Commission has put out an RFP to get a firm to help shape a program that would work for all of the states and work on some of the principles that would be necessary for that. So those are things that are going on. We got together in Denver last Monday and talked about what do we do in terms of the revision of the current operating guidelines on the river that are set to expire in 2026, in which we are supposed to begin the work of reviewing and revising. And so it's been decided that among the 7 states that the thing that we'll do is enter into a review of the guidelines as they are right now, see where they performed well, see where they didn't perform well. We may get 7 different opinions as to how they performed. Yet that's one of the efforts that we thought was very important to begin with. And so that will go through the winter and into the spring. And at that point, probably start releasing ideas to the public and then begin the process of working together with all of the states and the related agencies and the tribes and the NGOs and everybody that would like to have a seat at the table. Again, reminding everybody that the states are the ones that are given the responsibility to handle these things. And so the states' voices will be the loudest in that conversation, I believe. So those are the things that are going on. I just want to say, since this is my last report that I'll be making, my thanks to the Board of Water Resources and the board members over the last 32 years. I enjoy running into previous board members from time to time. In fact, Claire Allen, who was Charles' predecessor many times ago, still is around. I haven't seen Claire for a while, but Claire's into his 90s, and I guess maybe I had to go to more water meetings and see if I can find him. But all the board members that I've had the privilege of working with have been great individuals. Each of you are an inspiration to me because of your commitment to serve and to do the best things for the state of Utah and for your areas. And you're all great people. And so it's just been a pleasure and a helpful thing for me to be able to associate with you. And so I appreciate the service that each of you have given. A lot of things have happened over the last 32 years, good and bad. I got a lot of funny stories, I think, that probably come out, probably a few things that were a little rough to deal with, but through thick and thin, we're all working together trying to do the very best things, and I think that as we try to do the very best things that we'll get good results. And so look forward to rubbing shoulders with all of you in the future. I'll find you somewhere, somehow. And anyway, it's been just great. As far as all the retirements that have been going on that Joel brought up, one thought I've had is, after all of these dry years, we finally had a good water year, and maybe everybody's wanting to walk out on a high note. But we have new young blood in the division. I congratulate Todd on his appointment to be the new director. Todd will do a wonderful job. Todd has been a huge help to me, as has all of the staff of the division over these last 6 years. And so things will move on. There'll be a little bit of a thing that goes on as we make this transition, but things will be seamless and smooth, I believe. And so it's been great to work with the staff. I so much appreciate our staff and all the great things that they do and all the great people that they are, seriously. So with that, I just want to say thanks to everybody. This has been a wonderful career, wonderful experience for me, and hopefully I've been able to help out a little bit, and look forward to staying involved somehow as we move into the future. So with that, I will just say that, Lindsay, I think information went out about a little party that the department's holding Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and if you're available, be happy to have you come and say hi or buy or whatever it is. So with that, I think well, let's see, I got one more item. Our board tour, thank you for approving the schedule for next year. That's helpful to have that all planned out in advance. But we usually ask at this time for you all to be thinking about, you know, if you'd like to host the board tour in your area this coming year. So June and August are the dates, or the months that we typically hold that in. And so, Randy, I think you're off the hook, but both, yeah, Kyle, yeah, so you're off the hook for a while, but yes, so if any of the rest of you have thoughts of wanting to do that, please let Todd and Lindsay know, and we'll accept your offer. So we've got a party this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Looks like we've got plenty of time to get there. You can grab a sandwich if you want. I wouldn't, beforehand, I wouldn't recommend that. Lots of good food there at Rodizio. So the party will be at the Rodizio Grill, which is at 600 South and 700 East in Trolley Square. I can't tell you exactly where once you get there to go to find it, but I think they've got signs and things up to find that. Yes, Randy?
They're going to let us start sitting down at 12:30.
Oh, at 12:30, okay. So tell me, Randy, what does that mean? We can go grab food and start eating and?
No, I think they'll just let us come in and sit down and start taking drink orders and things like that.
Okay, so at 12:30 we can get in and, okay, great. Does staff know that, I wonder?
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's make sure that happens. Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. There I go. Appreciate your diplomacy. I don't know how else to put it. He's a real diplomat. Appreciate it. Service he's rendered to the board and the state of Utah. We look forward to working with Todd and you others. So, are there any other? Todd, is there anything you'd like to make comment about?
Eric's still our director for another, what, 7 to 8 days? We're going to use him.
Uh-oh.
Look out.
Is there anything else, board members? If not, I'm going to use this gavel one more time. We'll call this meeting adjourned.